Hey y'all, happy Sunday. It is time for another weekly wrap up, a fake vlog of mine. So today is, I think, the 16th or the 17th or the 18th of October. It is a Sunday. So I think I'm going to make this kind of a quick vlog because I really want to be recording a tea and a book post. So I'm going to do that after this. So let's see, what happened last week? Hardly anything. I did get a tea box, but it's different than usual because I have a Sips by box subscription, and I decided to get some teas from David's Tea instead. So I put my Sips by box on hold. So that's part of why I'm excited to do that post, which I will be recording. Yesterday I went to the first event of the Anomaly Film Festival. So Anomaly is Rochester's genre film festival. It just started last year, and I think the team's plan is for it to be annual. So this would be the second year, and it's virtual this year, of course, because social distancing. But yesterday they had a drive-in. They had a movie at the drive-in. So it was a double feature. So the second movie was Halloween, the classic one with Jamie Lee Curtis. And it's kind of boring. Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen it before. Pretty sure. Like reviewing classic horror movies, like Friday the 13th and Halloween and that stuff, I'm like, why was this scary? I mean, it was obviously just such a different time, but it was, my daughter and one of my best friends was in the car with me, and we're like, I mean, is it comedy? But some of it was kind of, so like at the beginning of the movie, the nurse and the doctor are going up to the insane asylum or whatever they're calling it in the movie. And there's one of the, guys walking around, and the woman, gets really scared and jumps out of the car and leaves her car with the keys. And Michael drives off with the car. And I'm like, that's weird. And then the whole time the doctor is trying to convince the sheriff that something bad's about to happen in the town, and like he doesn't say anything about how like the grave's been messed up, or like he found the guy's clothes in the, it's just all very, very silly and implied. And I guess that's part of the horror that often I really like in a lot of horror movies, where there's a lot of implied things going on and there's a buildup of anticipation. And I didn't have that with Halloween, and maybe that's because it is so old, and so many of the pieces of it, like Michael standing behind the bush in the mask, like just watching, like that is so a part, like that's memeable, so I think I probably was scared when I was 7, but it wasn't scary. Not that every horror movie has to be scary. And when he stabs the guy in the stomach and it like holds him against the wall, that's just not consistent with physics, right? But anyway, I'm glad that I went. Oh, the other movie though was a I think somewhat purposefully funny in parts movie about a pair of pants that's haunted and killing people. There's a store, and they sell really expensive clothes, and they're about to do their new season's turnover. And so there's a lot of social commentary about YouTube influencers and about working in a store like that, and sort of like this cutthroat nature of the business and all of that. And then this new pair of pants was manufactured in India, and I won't give it away, but the name of the movie is Slaxx, Slaxx. So if you get a chance to see that movie and you enjoy horror comedy, check it out, because there were funny parts and there were gruesome parts, and then you have the social conscious part, and down with capitalism part. Okay, so what else happened last week? Not a lot, work, and I only read one book in its entirety for the week, and that was yesterday, on Saturday. I read The Ballad of Black Tom. So this book is really short. It's about 150 pages. And if you're into, what is the guy's name? Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft, or Lovecraftian kinds of stuff, then this is a great book. So the author apparently is into Lovecraft, and the old ones appear here. So if you've read the first appearance of Cthulhu or any of the other Cthulhu mythos books, then you'll recognize kind of what the guy's going for. I've started a couple and don't really enjoy H.P. Lovecraft in general. Plus, I think there's an increase in awareness of his problematic nature in general, kind of like a lot of his views were racist in particular. I haven't kind of felt motivated to make myself read these books that I'm not really into anyway. So, but this guy, his name's Victor LaSalle, and his inscription, his dedication is for H.P. Lovecraft with all my conflicted feelings. So I think, I won't say the controversy, but part of the struggle a lot of people have with their favorite authors who end up being problematic is that it doesn't mean that people weren't influenced in a positive way by their work. It's kind of like Freud, right? So I'm a psychologist, and a lot of the views that Freud had were problematic because, they were very rooted in whiteness, but also in a male-centric kind of idea. But part of what he did for the field was to create these controversies that made people want to disprove him. So that was he wasn't doing that on purpose, but it certainly was something that happened. And his theories weren't all wrong just because he wasn't right in how he was thinking about it, so Lovecraft and, more now, more modernly, I guess, J.K. Rowling, or, the woman that wrote The Outsiders, who, was showing her ass last week on Twitter. These folks can be problematic. Rainbow Rowell, gets a lot of controversy about the way that she depicts people of color in her books. They can be problematic, and we can still learn from that, and we can still find value in some of their story. But we have to couch that in the context of a wider frame. So I am someone who believes that there is a role and a place for even really crappy storytelling and stories and storytellers. It helps all of us, I think. I was in a book discussion a couple weeks ago about somebody, I can't remember. I think we were talking about Twilight or something. And I think that that's a book that gets brought up a lot more, talking about things that are problematic and authors that are problematic. And we don't want young people to read stories of problematic relationships, in reference to Bella and Edward's relationship. But I don't think we can expect people to recognize when they're in bad relationships if we've never given them ideas about what bad and good relationships are, right? So the problem with problematic stories is when they're the only stories being told. So we can't rely on problematic stories to help us understand good stories or relationships or whatever themes they're sharing, but we can't rely on good stories to show us or make us understand bad ones either. So that's just my kind of stance on that, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it's an unpopular opinion or anything. But it comes up for me thinking about, you know, an author who gave me this story, which I really liked, and was clearly influenced by an author who was problematic, who continues to be problematic. We're having awards that were named after Lovecraft. The name of those awards changed because he doesn't represent what we know to be true now, even if he seemed to back then. So in this book, there is a black man. The setting is 1924, I think, Harlem. So Charles Tom Tester lives in Harlem, and he's a hustler. He's taking care of his elderly father, who's actually only 41 in the book, which kind of like hit me. So it talks a little bit about kind of race differences in pay and the kinds of jobs that are available, things like that. But Tom Tester is asked to do a job for an old lady, and he does this job and then gets caught up in some other things that are going on on the outskirts of New York and in a couple of the other boroughs. The old ones show up. Like I said, there's magic. There's basically a man who's trying to uncover power and use that in a woman doing the same thing. And Tom Tester is kind of in the middle, trying to figure out if he's gonna get caught up in this. And then white men happen at his residence, and he surrenders to the dark side, so to speak, and becomes Black Tom. So this is kind of like a boogeyman story, I guess. You know, here are the things that could happen in a world like ours. It's got gruesome bits and scary bits and realistic bits. So I would definitely recommend it if you're into any of those things. I got through the whole thing, which is more than I can say about the actual original Cthulhu appearance. And I would recommend it. I don't think I have anything else for the rest of the week. How lame is that? I didn't craft anything. I didn't read anything else. I did get some tea. I did go to the movies. So it's been a light week, which is awesome. And at the end of next week, it is Dewey's readathon. So I hope to have a lot more books to talk about by next Sunday. Okay, catch you on the next one.